Hey everybody, it's Mahadeva. All right, today we are going to talk about what I have termed the thunder wheel, which is just another way of talking about the 9 directions. The what is it called? I forget what it's called in New Age circles already. Did a lot of surfing past couple days, so I'm a little loopy. All right, but we're going to talk about uh, psychology from a shamanic perspective. And we're going to be using the thunder wheel in order to show us the progression of the soul, how the soul progresses from how the soul evolves, the healthy evolution of the soul. And so we can use the thunder wheel for all kinds of things. We can use it for magic, we can use it for doing energy work, we can use it for rituals, we can use it for mapping out the planets, because there's, all the planets go in each one of the directions. It's, if you followed my channel, I've used this for multiple things, and that's because this number 9 is significant, and it happens to also coincide with the evolution of the psyche. So we're going to talk about that. But first, before we do that, we are going to talk about the word psychology. And I'm also going to be sharing with you how true psychological evolution cannot happen without a working, live, spiritual connection. And that, of course, is different from religion. There's a huge difference between traditional shamanic spirituality and religion as we know it. Religion as we know it is based off of Abrahamic monotheism, which the big three, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, have taken over. In fact, the whole world functions. The whole world is functioning, whether or not, even if we're talking about China or wherever it is we're talking about, if there's any kind of sophisticated governmental institution, it is operating from Abrahamic monotheistic principles, even if they don't address that. It is so deeply ingrained in modern Western society. In fact, if it weren't for the Christian missionaries, there would be no such thing as communist China. Communist China exists only because Christians went there and started proselytizing. And I'm not going to go into how that turned into communism, but that was one of the interesting layouts of it. So what I'm trying to say is that shamanic psychology, if you will, has nothing to do with religion. So when I say that in order to truly heal and progress psychologically, there must be a spiritual component. And even having said that, when I say there must be a spiritual component, it doesn't even mean that you have to even believe in anything spiritual. That's the beauty of it. If you, for instance, like if you do the 5-element, the Maoshan 5 elements, or if you do the 90-day challenge here and you just simply click play and follow me on those videos, it doesn't matter what you believe. You can be a staunch atheist. If you do those practices, you will begin to have a spiritual experience. And it doesn't even matter if you even accept that. Even if you start having energetic spiritual experiences, you don't even have to believe that it's real. My contention is that the human mind, the human brain, has evolved to need a shamanic experience in order for there to be a full and healthy individual, the ego, the self. So I'm gonna be talking about how that is found in the 9 worlds, which of course I've got this really fancy map here, which somebody helped me make, and then I added to it, which is the 9 worlds and the 8 directions and all of the things associated with that. So if you want to freeze frame that, or when you're watching this, or take a screenshot of it, you can then you can study that on your own time. We're going to be looking at that. But first, let's talk about the word psychology. So the word psychology is a Greek word. And it doesn't mean study of the mind, which is what you would think, right? Psychology is study of the mind. It's not. Psychology comes from the Greek word, and I'm going to try and spell it with Latin characters, but because I studied classical Greek in college, so I see it in Greek, but I don't know how to spell it. I guess we can use there. So psyche, and then logia. So psyche equals soul. Logia means the study or the science. So psyche logia means science of the soul. Okay? Got that? Psychologia. So even in the name, the original name that was given to it, I don't know who coined the phrase. I don't know if it was Freud or Jung, or I don't know who coined the phrase, but the phrase doesn't mean study of the mind, it means study of the soul. And what's interesting is that psychology, as it should be, has no connection to the soul or spirituality. And it should be that way, because otherwise it could get co-opted by religionists who think that they understand what the soul is. But from my perspective, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I have some beliefs that I have turned into base assumptions for my life, and I base all of my actions on many of these assumptions. One of them is the belief in reincarnation. Now, I don't care if reincarnation is true or not. If somebody can prove to me, which of course nobody can prove or disprove reincarnation or even the existence of the soul. All these people out there trying to find some kind of experiments to prove the afterlife. It's just a waste of time. If it exists in a dimension that we can't access from our 3-dimensional vantage point. It's sort of like dark energy and dark matter. We can point at it, but we have no idea what it is or how it functions. Spirituality is even beyond that. It's on a level that we can't point at. If it does exist, there's no way we will be able to prove it or disprove it. It will always be that, and I think it's supposed to be that way. But I don't care if sorry, I'm really tired. I don't care if multiple lifetimes exist. Only thing I care about is, does a belief give me the ability to have a better life? Does it help me to be happy, prosperous, healthy, and functional in this life? That's all that matters to me. As it turns out, many of these so-called spiritual principles, like being a good person, actually helps me. So from a practical perspective, being unselfish, being generous, being noble, being kind, all of these things, when done without desire for compensation. When done truly, unconditionally, they end up helping you, whether you believe in it or not. This is why it's really important to understand that your feelings, it's important to have your feelings, but your feelings don't have to determine anything. The only thing that the world cares about is your actions. And if you take actions that are constructive and helpful for others, and or constructive and helpful for you, even if you don't like taking these actions for yourself, the end result is that the universe, three-dimensional reality, will respond positively to you, and people will respond positively to you. When the difference between, as they call it in 12-step groups, acting as if, which means just taking actions for the sake of taking them without any recompense, even if you personally detest it, or if it's difficult, even if it's the complete opposite of what you feel motivated to do. When you do that, you get good things, and the brain recovers. I mean, it's good for you psychologically. The difference between that and being inauthentic is when you do it for some other selfish gain, like wanting to manipulate somebody or con somebody, or even if your motivation is to look like a good person, wanting people to think you're good. This is why I can't stand being around people pleasers. People pleasers will go out of their way to be nice to you, to do things for you, to give things to you, but there's always an unconscious string attached to it, even if that string is, look at me, I'm a good person. But one of the most common phrases from codependent people pleasers, at some point when they keep giving and giving, ostensibly for no payment, unconditionally, but on an unconscious level, they want something. They want recognition, they want admiration, they want love, they want power, they want something from you, friendship. If they continue to do that and don't get anything back, then that facade of I'm just doing this because I'm a good person falls apart. And then at some point you hear some kind of phrase similar to this: I don't ask for much. I give and I give and I give, and I don't ask for much, but fine. But and then they get upset. The one time they show up and they give cookies to everybody, and nobody stands up and says, "Hey, I just want to thank Mary over here for bringing all the cookies. She's a great person." Just that could stimulate this temper tantrum of, I don't ask for much. Which means that the whole time they've been doing it, they have been asking for something the whole time. And it's been selfish. There's nothing selfless about it. All right, so I'm getting off topic here. All right, so let's start talking about psychologia, the science of the soul, and why spirituality, true spirituality, which I like the term shamanism, is necessary for healthy development of the psyche. Okay? So to do that, let's get the Norse bagua out here, my friend. So, starting in the north here, this is a map of not just the universe, but of yourself. And according to Norse mythology, which I like very much, there are 9 worlds. There isn't just one universe. Pseudo-shamanism, neo-shamanism will talk about the 3 worlds: the upper world, the middle, and the lower. This is also psychological. And that's the base structure of the human psyche, which is the higher self, or the conscious mind, the lower self, the unconscious, the subconscious, and then the middle self, which is the emotional reality. These are the worlds. And so when a shaman, even in neo-shamanism, when they, whatever they do, whether they drum or whether they breathe themselves into some shamanic state, or less desirable if they take some kind of hallucinogen, and they travel to one of the three worlds, they're only traveling to themselves. If you go to the upper world where there's the heaven and the gods and all that, you're in your higher self. If you travel to the underworld where there are the demons and the darkness and the lost souls, that is your unconscious. And then the middle world is where we live now. There's really no point in traveling to the middle world because we live in the middle world. So even New Age neo-shamanism is talking about the three selves: the higher self, the lower self, and the middle self. The superconscious, the unconscious, and the conscious. So, but in many mythologies, there are 9 worlds. And so, being that I am descended from Norse Vikings, I like to use the pre-Christian Norse, which was the belief of all pre-Christian Germanic tribes all over Northwest Europe. They believed in these 9 worlds. So we start at the top here, which is in the northern direction, and here we have the north, and this represents potential, that which is just beginning to manifest but has not differentiated itself yet. This is the potential. This is the void, when the soul, the self, has come into being, but it has not become anything yet. This is in the north. Then we go right to the northeast. This is the superconscious mind. This is the realm of the gods. The northeast is in multiple unrelated traditions. The northeast is the realm of the highest heavens. Whether it be the Chinese, which has no direct connection to anything Indo-European, they also use these 9 directions. The Vedic, which is also, of course, Indo-European, so the Vedic and the Norse will have a connection because they have an ancestral root that they both come from, which was what we call the Proto-Indo-European. These are the people who, the Proto-Indo-Europeans, were a society that became important, in fact became the dominant culture, language, and society in all of the northern hemisphere, the northwestern hemisphere. They started migrating out of their homeland, which was the Eurasian steppes. They migrated out of that all over Europe and parts of the Middle East and the Levant and all that, even down into India. And they brought with them their religion, their language, their culture, and their technology, and their pastoral way of life. And so this is where this comes from. This is why Norse and Vedic are so similar, but they're not, they didn't spawn each other. They're both children of an original culture which no longer exists, which was the Proto-Indo-European. We call them now the Yamnaya. Those that went to India called themselves the Aryans. And just to be clear, they were not white people. They had olive skin, dark eyes. They didn't look anything like me. Even though if you look at my genetics, you're going to find a lot of Indo-European genetics in there. I'm not going to talk about that. I know I'm babbling around, but let's just keep going. So let's take a look here once again. So the north is where the soul comes into existence, but doesn't have any real specific attributes yet. Goes to the northeast. And this is where the soul looks towards the highest heavens. This is grandiosity. So in order for the soul to become something, it has to take on a grandiosity. It has to think of itself as godlike. Little babies. This is what happens, little babies. Little babies, as you know, they can be very difficult to deal with, and they're just, they want what they want when they want it now. So this can represent the self coming into actually starting to crystallize. And so this is the first place the soul goes, as it goes to the gods. A baby will look to the parents as gods. The baby sees the parents as actual gods. So as the psyche comes into crystallization, that's its first experience. So that's in the northeast. Moving to the east. To the east, this is where the ego is formed. And this is associated with the sun. And when the sun rises in the east, this is why everybody in the world, they face the east and they worship the rising sun, because the rising sun in the morning represents the self becoming empowered with itself. At night you can't do anything, it's dark. This is the time of dreams and sleep and all of that. When the sun comes up, it is the time for the ego to come into fruition, and whatever nightmares you had the night before, whatever dreams you had, you shake those off and you become something. So this is why the east is associated with the sun, obviously, because that's where the sun rises. And this is where the lightning gods reside. So this is where Thor resides. Thor resides in the east. And what is in the east? The east is the realm of the giants. And what do the giants represent? They represent narcissism. They represent self-directed being and action that has no empathy for other people. Giants walk around stomping on houses, grabbing people, picking them up, biting their heads off. The Cyclops is a good one. It only has one eyeball in the middle of the forehead, which means that they don't have depth perception, which means they don't have empathy. They're just myopic. They only see themselves. They don't understand that other things have experiences and feelings. And so they're just focused on themselves. The element of the east, as you can see here, is ether or wood, which is the highest vibration of energy manifested in the physical world, and we experience it as energy, as life force energy. And so these lightning gods are about that. They are, when you worship the sun, for example. In fact, in the Vedic scriptures it says that the sun sits in the east. Indra, the lightning god, sits in the east and worships the sun for long life and the power to rule. So the sun represents the soul. In fact, the word for sun in the Germanic, S-O-U-L, the modern spelling of soul, comes from the older, you can even see it in Old English, but it's a Proto-Germanic word, sawul. This translates to both sun and soul. So the actual sun in the sky is representative of the sawul, the soul. And there was a point in time when a Germanic person would say the word sawul, and unless you knew the context, you wouldn't know if they were talking about the soul or the sun in the sky. So the sun represents the king, which represents self-awareness. Actually, that's the second one is okay, but I'm going to delete that because I don't want to have false competing information there, Ryan. That's not accurate, so I'm gonna remove that. what I like for these things is question and answers. So if you have something to contribute, the best way to contribute is to ask an honest question, which means you have a question that you think I have the answer to that you don't, or if you have an honest feeling. Those are the two things that I prefer that people put into the chat. All right, so what were we talking about? I got to stop looking at I get distracted if I look at the comments. All right, so the sun is the king, which is the soul, which is the core identity. So the identity of the individual is now coming into full fruition, and this is when you need the power of Thor to be healthy, because Thor goes off in the east fighting the giants. The giants live in the east, and the giants represent the expansion of ether, the expansion of the ego. When the ego gets too expanded and it doesn't see anything other than itself, then the power of lightning, which is the power of transformation, the power of fighting against negativity, that's all that negativity is. Negativity is nothing more than not having empathy for others, not understanding the interconnection of your own self with the rest of existence. And so there's this balance, spirituality, because the soul also is spirituality. The whole point of spirituality is the soul. And in order for the human being to be healthy, there has to be a balance between I am everything and also I am interconnected with everything else. And ironically, the lack of self, or the retardation of the self, turns into narcissism, where there's just this ever expanding self that never limits itself and doesn't take any awareness of anything or anybody else. And so Thor, the protector of the ego, the protector of the human race, he goes off into the east to fight against the giants, fight against the cyclopses, the trolls, there are all kinds of giants, but specifically the trolls. Those are the things he goes out to fight all the time. So it means boundaries. So you have to have a self. The New Age idea of I have no self, I am nobody, I am nothing, I'm just, that the false humility is not healthy, and it shows inverted narcissism. This is Christianity. Who are the most destructive, exclusive, prejudiced people on the planet are monotheists. Christians, Muslims, they're extremely prejudiced and destructive and narcissistic. But how do they worship the one God, which is really just narcissistic ego? They abase themselves. They flatten themselves on the ground. When Christianity came into Northern Europe, the Anglo-Saxons, there's one recorded encounter with a priest and an Anglo-Saxon polytheist chief, and they're trying to convert the guy. And the thing about the polytheist people is that they're practical. So when somebody comes along with a new religion, and these people have power, like Christians had power, they had military power. These people stop and go, these guys have something. Look at them. They got a lot of power. I want to understand who they're worshiping, because they're very practical. If you can show me, if there's a God out there that's going to give me your kind of power, I'm interested. Tell me all about it. So the Christian monk was trying to convert this Anglo-Saxon polytheist. And he says, oh, okay, so when the guy's telling him about if you accept this Jesus, you will have the blessings of the Almighty, and then you'll go to heaven. And he goes, oh, where's my father, my grandfather? And he goes, oh, they're in hell. He said, well, I'm not going to your heaven then, because if those noble warriors are in hell, that's where I want to go. I'm not going to go to your milk toast heaven if they're not there. I forgot what the point I was trying to make. Anyway, yeah, I'm really off kilter today. Anyway, so the self is in the east. Let's move to the southwest. In the southwest, we have what the Chinese call the human door. And this is the realm of the subconscious mind. This is the realm of the dwarves. There's an unconscious and a subconscious. We are not talking about the unconscious. 99.99% of the time when somebody uses the word subconscious, they mean unconscious, and it drives me crazy. There are 3 levels of consciousness. There's the conscious mind, which is what's listening to me right now, making judgments about I don't like what he's saying, I understand, I don't understand what he's saying. This is your conscious mind. Your conscious mind has almost no power. It thinks it has all the power, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. It really just kind of watches and records, in real time, what your unconscious is choosing for you. Just beneath the conscious mind is the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, in a practical level, is you remember your birthday, your social security number, your mom's birthday, things that you could go months without thinking about. But if somebody asks you, when's your mom's birthday? You go, oh, my mom's birthday was... This is the subconscious mind. On a spiritual level, the subconscious mind is used for intention. It is it's like a muscle. It's when you consciously intend something. And the subconscious mind is used for that. The subconscious mind is incompletely used by New Age spirituality when you have people who use positive affirmations. Positive affirmations, by the way, are useless unless the unconscious mind agrees to it. If the unconscious mind does not agree to the affirmation, you can spend literally all day affirming something and nothing will come of it. Those of you who follow The Secret or follow Zohar the Magnificent, what is that? I keep forgetting the name of that. Positive thinking. If you have positive feelings, good things will come to you. If you have negative feelings, bad things. The law of attraction. So passive. The law of attraction is such an infantile belief system. It's just so passive. Anyway, but this is one of the things that will tell you how the law of attraction doesn't work, because positive affirmations are useless unless your unconscious mind agrees with it. So your intentions, when you sit on the edge of your bed and you intend, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to find love, whatever it is that you're doing. Prayer is the same way. God, please give me this. God, please give me that. This is using your subconscious power of intention. But the subconscious, again, talking spiritually, from a spiritual perspective, the subconscious is like a slide projector. So the projection is the outside world. Your life, your actual physical life is the screen on which you project your intentions, both unconscious and subconscious. When you put a positive affirmation, I'm going to be a millionaire, by the end of the month. That's a positive affirmation, which is like a slide that goes into your subconscious, which is projected onto the screen. The only way that projection will work is if your unconscious mind agrees. If your unconscious mind does not agree with your subconscious intention, then it will be muddied. Imagine there's 2 slides superimposed on each other. There's no clear definition. So you either don't get what you intend, or you get it for a little while and then it falls apart, or it's half and half, or it's muddied. But in terms of the psyche, this is the subconscious mind in the southwest, which the Taoists call the human door, because this is what sets us apart from the animals. Animals don't intend. They don't sit on the edge of their bed and intend their day. They just wake up and they follow their impulses and their instincts. So the humans have the ability to intend their reality, to intend their day, to plan things out. This is where the brain and the mind and all of that, this is here in the human door. All right, we could go into the runic association, which is the also very helpful. You have manaj, the rune for the mind. Man means mind. This is where the mind acts, is in the subconscious realm, the southwest. Going to the south, this is the realm of fire. This is the realm of action. This is the realm where the fire is when, after you've made your intention about what you're going to be and who you're going to be, you go out and do it. This is where you go to conquer the world. So the south represents the self in full expression. This is the full light of the midday sun, the soul. The self is in full expression. They've graduated from university and now they're going off to conquer the world, and they create their own business, or they come up with their own label, or they, become this is when the soul says, here I am, here's what I'm doing, I'm now conquering the world with myself. So this is going to create excess. And this is where somebody can fail. You are going to make mistakes. When you go to learn something, you go to learn to surf, you have to stand up on a surfboard. You are going to fall long before you actually end up standing up. You're going to fall many, many times. And then finally you'll stand up. This is the realm of fire. You're taking action and you're making mistakes along the way. These could be lethal mistakes. These could be mistakes that destroy your business, destroy your reputation. But the fire also purifies, because, again, look, going into surfing, you watch people surf and you go, oh, I could do that, until you get your ass out in the water and try and stand up on a flimsy surfboard, and then you realize it's not nearly as easy as I thought. It's a lot harder than I thought it was. You're going to, your ego is going to go through some purification. Fire purifies. When there's a wildfire, it burns off all the excess of ego, the excess of self. So the ironic thing is, when the ego goes out to create its world, it also purifies itself, which is why I'm constantly telling you guys you have to take action. And you say, but I want to get my feelings right first. I need to get enough money first. I don't feel right. You're not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to hurt. You're supposed to fall. You're supposed to fall on your ass and make mistakes. That's the self-purification of the ego. It's very humbling in a good way. So this is the self. The self is really taking action on itself. And then the southwest. This is the underworld. This is what the Taoists call the demon door or the ghost door. And that's your unconscious mind. This is the underworld. This is where the goddess Hela lives. Hela is she is the underworld itself. She is the unconscious mind. She's a feminine being. She surrounds, the feminine surrounds. She surrounds the soul. And this is where the soul goes to languish over after going in the south and trying to achieve everything and failing. The soul goes into the underworld and mourns, feels sorry for itself, but also seeks to find out how it can reinvent itself. So when you go out and you try and accomplish something and you fail miserably, you then have to go and reinvent yourself. So you go into your unconscious mind. The soul goes after death to the world of the unconscious. And it's unconscious because you become aware in that realm of all of the karma that you've created for yourself that you didn't realize you were making. All of the consequences. You get to see your selfish, self-centered narcissism, the things that you were doing that were destructive. You thought you were giving cookies to everybody because you were a good person, when in reality you just wanted people to appreciate you, and you wanted to hold people accountable. You wanted to have a list of, yeah, but I've given you cookies 7 days a week now, so you owe me. You get to look at that and realize, oh, that was selfish. That wasn't coming from my authentic self at all. This is the realm of the unconscious mind. The soul goes through there. And then we move to the West. And in the West, you have rebirth. You have the gods of magic. You have the gods of fertility. This is where Frey and Freyja and the planet Venus are all situated here in the West. This is the element of air or metal, which is the opposite of ether. Ether is expansion in the East, and contraction in the West, which is metal or air, which means this is where you find true wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to discern the truth. In the East, you don't have the discernment because the giants are wrapped up in their own narcissism. They create their own narcissistic fantasy world, which is in complete opposition to, the rest of objective reality. In the West, you look at things for what they are, and you go, I was selfish. Or no, that person says he's this, but he's actually that. And you have the ability, you have magical ability. You have the ability to transform your objective reality because you have wisdom. You have experience now. In the South, you've created your career. You had whatever problems you had. You went into the underworld. You looked at what your true motivations were. And then this is where the phoenix rises, and out of the ashes, the new self, the new identity, which is now wise, which is now caring. Between the East and the West, the East is your identity, how you give to yourself. The West is how you give to others. You're not able to give unconditionally until you have achieved some experience. This is why we look towards our elders. Our elders are the people who will take us aside. Mom and dad are doing their thing, and grandpa says, come here. I want to tell you something. And he says, your dad does this and your dad does that, but you know what? I learned something. If you want to be successful, do this, and don't tell your mom I told you. Don't tell her I told you. But trust me, go do that. Right? Because mom and dad are still young enough. They're in the fire realm. They're in the South. They're still young enough to not know everything. They're still making mistakes. They're learning by being parents. Grandparents in the West, come here. I got a secret for you. That's why grandparents always have, don't tell your mom, but here's a candy. They're giving. So it's not until you get to the West that you're able to give unconditionally. You don't want anything in return. You don't want anything from anybody. You just want people to be happy. This is why Santa Claus is an old man with a beard, among other reasons. But one of them is because he's old and wise, and he's jolly and he's happy, and he gives unconditionally. He represents elders and wisdom and magic. This is why Santa Claus is magical. He's a representation of the West, which is the ego, the self has now gone through the trials and the turmoils and has wisdom and experience and can give back unconditionally and gets joy simply from giving. And then we get to the Northwest. And this is the realm of the moon. This is the realm of the elves, the ascended masters, the bodhisattvas. Because as you can see here in the Northwest, there's only one other place left to go, which is the North. And in the North, you go back to nothing again. So just before you go back to nothing, you then have wisdom. You're now like the bodhisattvas. You are standing at the gateway to infinity, and before merging with infinity, you look back towards the earth and you wait to achieve your union, and you help those still on earth. And these are the elves. This is where you get wisdom. So whenever you are in doubt about what to do, face the northwest and say, show me what I should do next. What you will get whenever you work with the elves, the bodhisattvas, simply facing northwest and asking, I need some help. I need to know what's going on here. You will always get information that shows you what is best for you and simultaneously what is best for everybody else. Because when you get to the realm of the elves and the bodhisattvas, you realize that there is no actions you take that don't affect everything. This is why when I tell you, if you're struggling between, well, I want to do that for myself, but isn't that selfish? That's a dichotomy. In your mind, you're either selfishly doing what you want or doing only what other people want. And so you think by going after what your soul wants, you're hurting other people or you're depriving other people. This is how narcissists think. A narcissist doesn't understand that there's room for everybody. If you want to be a movie star, the narcissist says, no, I'm the only person I have to be the only movie star. Any other movie actor who comes along is my nemesis, and I have to be better than them because there's only one spot of the best actor in the world. That's narcissism. It doesn't matter. It's like, in my family, when I was born, my brother, he never got over it. He still to this day blames me for all of his problems because in his mind, there's only one son in the family. There can't be two. There has to be one. So, so the narcissist is incapable of just enjoying other people's success. Hey, good for you, man. I know what that feels like. I'm happy for you. They can't do that. They have to be the only one that's experiencing something, because if anybody else is having any fun, then they, it's being stolen from them. On the other side, you've got the truly selfless, loving, kind individual who gets pleasure by watching other people succeed. And they don't have to get a piece of it. They don't have to get any credit for it. They can sit back and watch and just enjoy. Right? And this is what the bodhisattvas are doing. They've achieved their awareness, their enlightenment. The one thing that they have mastered is the awareness that I am not this, individual, this tiny thing in this big universe. I'm actually everything. I am connected to everything and everybody. There's nothing that I do that doesn't affect others, and vice versa. And so they only want to help you achieve your awareness. And the message that they give to you is, you are connected to everything else. Everything you do affects everybody. If you want to be, number one, happy in yourself and help other people be happy, go after what your soul wants. Your soul will always benefit you and everybody else. Those of you who are trying to struggle with what is my soul desire, it's helpful to understand that the guilt that people experience, and we all experience it, we experience shame and guilt when we branch out on our own. Psychologically, you have to kill your parents, psychologically, not physically. The symbolic idea of it is that you're killing your parents. This is why kids rebel. This is why teenagers are rebellious against their parents. It's built into them. They're trying to get out of the nest. Their parents don't know anything. You guys don't know anything. You're old, stupid. I know better than you. Oh, your stupid looking pants and your stupid music. I know better than you. That's the evolutionary desire to kill your parents in order to become your own God, your own self. And so it's either them or us. But then when you become fully individuated, then you're able to hold on to your identity and realize that everything that's good for me is also helpful for others. And if I do anything that's hurtful to others, I'm hurting myself. If I do things that are hurtful to me, I'm hurting other people. The only people who will fight against you, and they will, the people who will fight against you when you take action towards your soul desire are going to be the narcissists. People who are narcissistic. So if you have, and everybody has narcissism, so don't get me wrong. Everybody's narcissistic. Everybody. There is a thing called narcissistic personality disorder, which is a mental illness, and that's not what I mean by that. But you can be narcissistic and still be a healthy human being. But it shows immaturity. Narcissism, the definition of narcissism is immaturity. That's it. If you're a narcissist, if you have narcissistic personality disorder, you are toxically immature. That's it. Nothing more than that. So when you go after your soul desire, the elves are saying, listen to your soul, go after what gives you joy. Isn't that what old people say too? You know, you hear the grandma and grandpa will take you aside and say, hey, look, don't waste all your time with that. Make yourself happy. I spent 30 years trying to be the this and that, and yeah, I gained a lot of money, but money won't give you happiness. Go see the world, go travel the world, go experience things while you can. Go sow your oats before you get married. Go experience yourself. These are what grandma and grandpa are going to tell you. Mom and dad still have an ego. They're projecting onto you. So they want you to go to school and they want you to be this and that and they want you to have this and that. You got to have a job and you got to have a blah, blah, blah. Grandma and grandpa say, yeah, I did that. I wish that if I had 20 years on me now, I would go back and I would climb Mount Everest. Go do what your soul wants to do. The people who are going to stop you, family members, are going to want to stop you from achieving your soul desire because they're narcissists. And narcissists are constantly comparing themselves to others. Narcissists think if you achieve something, it means you've stolen it. Why do you think Donald Trump... Listen, Donald Trump is a perfect example. He will rightly say that he got more votes than any sitting president in history. And then he'll turn around and use that to confabulate that he won the election. While he did get the most votes of any sitting president in history, Biden actually got more votes than any candidate in American history. But the narcissist can't stand losing because everything is an election. It's either you or me. And if you accomplish something, that means that you're taking it from me, and so I'm going to attack you. And so you'll have family members, parts of your society, maybe your church, maybe your school, maybe your friends will want to keep you where you are because they, for whatever reason, aren't going after their success and their happiness, and you're a threat to them. Because if you branch out and you take off on your own and do your own thing, then they have to look at their codependent desire for love and approval, and they're stifling themselves in order to get their mom and dad's approval, or their religion's approval, or their society, or peer pressure, or whoever else. Sorry. So when you go out and do your own thing and you break through that, you're actually helping them. Your actions tell them, do your own thing. Forget about mom and dad. Forget about society. Forget about religion. Forget about God. Go be your own God. Do your own thing. Sorry, things went down the wrong pipe here. All right, I'm going to cough here for a second. And you get to watch a video while I do that. Ugh. All right, I'm back. Anyway, sorry about that. Things went down the wrong pipe. All right, so I've gone through everything. We could talk about all this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But I'm happy to take some questions. Before I go, here's the two most important things in the world, in your life: paying attention and putting effort. If you do those two things, you will respect yourself and you will respect others. When you pay attention and you put effort, it means that you are empowered within yourself, and you have self-respect and you have self-confidence. When you rush through things, it means you aren't operating from self-confidence. Paying attention and putting effort means you listen to other people. If you want to, interact with me, there are things that I like you to do. If you want to, whatever it is you want to do, there are certain rules. If you want to drive on the road, you got to, all this stuff. It shows that you respect others. So if you want to show that you respect me and you respect yourself, if you've been on the channel, there are two things I want you to do. If you have a question, I want you to write the word question in all caps, so I see it. I'm not interested in your thought, your opinion. This is my classroom. I'm here to give a lecture. I'm here to teach what I think I know. If you don't think I know anything, no problem. You won't hurt my feelings. Plenty of other channels to go to. The other thing I want for you to do is to write an honest feeling. If you have an honest feeling, if there's something I'm saying that stimulates you emotionally, write the word honest feeling in all caps and then write your question. If you're going to write a question, write a full question. Don't assume that I know what you're talking about. Just because I said something and in the moment you had an impulse to say, no, it isn't, and I, 20 minutes later, an hour later, when I get to your question, I don't know what you're talking about. You have to actually write a whole question with a subject, an object, and a verb, and do things like use punctuation and proper grammar, and you will get a good response from me. But you will also be empowering yourself. You will be treating yourself with respect. You will be treating yourself with self-confidence, or you will be learning self-confidence by disciplining yourself. So everything I do has a reason for it. I'm only interested in your honest question because the way the universe works, if you want to grow spiritually, is you must know how to ask the universe questions. And if you do not ask honest questions, coming from a place of true authenticity and honesty, the universe will not respond to you. This is why Chinese teachers traditionally, if you come to them and you don't come to them in the right way, they just simply turn around and walk away from you. Or they will treat you disrespectfully, and they will only interface with you through their senior students. You could be standing there asking them a question, and they will turn to their senior student and say, will you tell so-and-so to do this or to do that? And then you have to, it looks childish, but they're trying to tell you, if you want to interact with me, you have to follow protocol. And protocol is here to help you. You can't disrespect yourself and respect somebody else. You can't disrespect somebody else and respect yourself. All external disrespect is disrespectful to you. So the teacher really wants to help you individuate and love yourself. So when I give you these rules, it's because they help you to individuate and to become a successful, happy person. All right? All right, so God Emperor, you've been around, you know the drill. How many times have I told you? You especially, don't write comments or questions until I'm done talking. What did you do? You came on here and dropped something. You didn't even ask a question. You just dropped to this. I look back, it's a good thing because you're enjoying yourself. For some reason it didn't get shown, but and you didn't do what I asked, which is write the word honest feeling so that I know, because that helps me not do what I just did, which is go, oh, somebody just dropped a comment. But you are doing the 90-day challenge. The reason why your comment got flagged was because you cussed. So YouTube doesn't want to see any cursing on there. But you say you're doing the movements that I taught in the 90-day challenge, and your head and your heart are full of bliss. Excellent. I'm happy to hear that. This is what I was saying earlier. If you do these things that I teach, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It doesn't matter if you believe me. If you do these things, there will be a physiological reaction which you will experience as spiritual. It will be a spiritual experience for you. But your body will create a physiological reaction that, in my opinion, actually does connect you spiritually. So, you won't know until you do it. Okay, what else? Ryan Orion deleted his whatever he had up there. He has another one. So he doesn't know this yet. I assume you're new to the channel, Ryan Orion. So in the future, please write the word question in all caps like you see the person did beneath you, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Let me see. So the other thing I don't like, here's another thing. An honest question is not an honest question when you throw your assumptions down my throat. So if this, and this, then why is that? It's not an honest question. Unless you've heard me say something, right? So you're going to throw an assumption at me and then combine it with a question, which means it's a leading question. You're trying to lead me towards your narcissistic, you've already come to a conclusion and you want me to co-sign it for you. So let's see what it is. You say, what's the hammer of Thor mean, given that in Icelandic magical grimoires it was pictured as a swastika? So Ryan, welcome to the channel. So two most important things in life: pay attention and put effort. If you put the effort into researching my channel, you will see I have many, many videos about Thor, Thor's hammer, the runes of Thor. So I encourage you to spend the time to actually research my channel. You're coming into my classroom. It's good if you've read the study materials. Watch my videos about Thor, Thor's hammer, and all that stuff, and the swastika and what it means. And then you don't have to ask me something I've already answered many times before. Welcome to the channel. I hope this is helpful for you. Dream Crusher, question. What is that drink you're drinking? What does it matter? How does that help you? Is the title of this video, Guess What I'm Drinking? I mean, seriously, what does that have to do with anything? It's some form of liquid that I'm enjoying. Outside of that, what difference does it make? How does that information help you? Ryan Orion, try again. Question in all caps, please. Question, then what's the alternative? You didn't ask a full question. Again, I can tell you're watching me and you hear me say something and you're responding out of your narcissism, and you're going to write a half sentence as though you and I are having a dialogue. I haven't even seen you yet. It's now what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later? How am I supposed to know what the context is? Grow up. This is the damage of the internet. The internet creates these experiences where people become more and more narcissistic, more and more childish. They think, the internet tells you that your thoughts, everything you want right now. 15 years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, people would ask me if I would teach them martial arts, via Skype or something like that. And I said, no. So why not? I said, because if you want to learn how to actually fight, you got to do that in person. I'm not going to do that over video. And they got very upset because I can get anything I want on the internet. I should be able to tell you what to do. The internet creates childish, narcissistic people. I don't know you, Ryan Orion, but you don't know this. It's not your fault. Everybody does it. You think in the moment because you think that you're the only person that exists and I'm saying something, you have to type in a response. You don't even give me the respect of giving me the context of the question so I know what it is you're asking. Then what's the alternative? To what? You're disrespecting yourself? Because how are you going to get your question answered if you don't inform me on what it is you want me to help you with? Grow up. Pay attention and put effort. Let's see what else. Creative Virgo. What have I told you? You really need to work on your codependence. I was perfectly capable of resolving my issue myself. You had to jump in there and fix it for me. Have you done the things I've requested that you do? Even in that seemingly nice interaction with me, what did you do? You stimulated my need to want to criticize you. There's a reason for it. You really need to do that stuff I've suggested for you if you want to be happy and healthy in life. Otherwise, I guarantee you, even your most sincere desire to reach out to me is going to create a negative response in me. My job is in our reaction is to hold up a real mirror to you and say, listen, if you want to be healthy and happy, here's what you got to do. Otherwise, I'm showing you why the universe and people in general react so negatively to you on such a regular basis. And again, what is it that I require? Ask an honest question or an honest feeling. You didn't do either of those things, and you know better. God Emperor, question. Can I have a bad trip from doing the phase 3 movements taught? I don't know. Can you? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. What he's talking about is the phase 3 of the Warrior 90-day lightning qigong. This is lightning. Remember what lightning does. What does Thor do? Thor goes out and fights against the giants. He goes and fights against the giants, and the giants represent narcissism, ego, unbounded ego that has no empathy, that is destructive in nature. So when you do the lightning qigong, you are taking this power into you, which means it's going to, like a vaccine, it's going to target things in you that are causing you things that are bad for you. And your experience is that your narcissism is being attacked. You will have negative emotional reactions to it, while simultaneously being filled with power. Those of you know what I'm talking about. You do it, you feel all this power, but you also have a lot of emotions come up. And sometimes the emotions are not pleasant, but they pass. You're barfing up the bad fish. You're getting rid of the toxins. You're getting healthier. What happens after you puke? When you're done puking, oh my God, I feel so much better. But you hate it when you're throwing up. So the answer to your question is yes, you can. I don't know, everybody's different. But yeah, you're going to have some negative experience, maybe. How do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare yourself for being sick to your stomach? You don't. It just, you get sick. It's unpleasant. Stop trying to protect yourself. I understand it, but my ancestors said those who die in battle go to Valhalla. If you're standing on the front line with a bunch of warriors and you're looking at the angry Gauls on the other side and they're frothing at the mouth and they want to come at you and they want to stab you to death, or the Romans, the nasty Romans with their military machine, and they're staring at you, you're standing there and you ask the war chief next to you, you say, hey, I'm not feeling very brave right now, and I'm wanting to know, what can I do to feel more brave? He's going to say, shut the fuck up and go fight, or I'll kill you myself. You die in battle. Those who die in battle go to Valhalla. Stop asking me how to prevent the negative emotions that are going to come up because of your karma. I can't help you with that. You have to go die in battle yourself. Let's see what else. Joe, 21.1, please write question in all caps or I might miss it. Is atom plasma that we also have in our body? Welcome to my channel. Have you ever once heard me talk about atom plasma? I never have. Atom is just the Germanic word for ether, which is the Chinese call it the wood element. It just means the expansive element which is associated with life force energy. I have no idea whatever the hell you're talking about. Never heard of it, so I can't help you. Ask me questions about what I teach. Sinli, question. Apologies if I didn't catch this. You say the Northeast tells you to chase your soul desire. I didn't say that. The Northeast represents in rune readings, the Northeast represents your future desires. I want to ask, it makes me want to ask you, Sinli, I see you on the channel, but it makes me want to ask you, are you doing anything? Are you subscribed to the 90-day, the Warrior 90-day? You ask a lot of questions like somebody who hasn't done the work. Like you asked me that question about the metal element, which was, by the way, I'm shocked that you asked me that first question. Well, why would you publicly ask such a question? It was just, but then you asked, is the metal like this? And it showed me that you hadn't done the work. It showed me you hadn't even watched my videos, my free videos about the elements. So your questions make me want to ask you that. Have you done the work? Because they show me that you haven't. This channel, 1% is me sitting here talking to you guys. The 99% is doing the work. That's why I have all these links all the time. They're things for you to go do. You want big muscles, you got to go to the gym and lift, and then you can sit around and flex all day, and then you can talk about, when I'm doing curls, should I do concentration curls, or should I, have an intelligent question to ask means you've done the work. I don't know if you have or not, but you ask questions as though you haven't. It also tells me you haven't, as I said, watched the videos that I already have. So you can learn all that by putting the effort into watching more and more of the videos on the 9 directions. You have an assumption. At no time did I say that there's a direction that will reveal your soul desire. I do have links up here. Find Your Perfect Career, which is a video teaching where we'll show you step by step how to find your soul desire. If you still run into problems, there's then a button you can click and you can buy a session with me. Every single person who's bought a session with me so far has been able to find out what their soul desire is. Following through on it, that's a whole other issue. So sin lead, again, you're not paying attention. There is no direction that reveals your soul desire. The answer to that is that all of them reveal your soul desire if you work with all of them. That's the end goal of all of it. Jameson, question. With the south being purifying fire of ego and southeast Hela revealing unconscious, could you speak on what regret is, its purpose, and that connection to Valhalla? So much I regret. There is no healthy purpose to regret. It has no function. Regret is simply ego. You're either angry at something externally or something internally. Regret is internal shame. It is anger turned inward. You're really not angry at yourself. You're angry at somebody else because they didn't give you what you wanted. You still believe somebody prevented you from experiencing something. I wish I had done this when I was younger. It's meaningless. Which isn't to say I haven't had those feelings, because I have. I still, even to this day, I still go through feelings of jealousy when I see, certain movie stars, and I go, fuck, I could have done that better, because I was an actor for a while. I had my own theater company, and I was doing the Hollywood thing and all that. And I obviously didn't become the next Brad Pitt. I still have jealousy that comes up, and I still have regret. And when it happens, I'll be watching somebody in a great role. Maybe they're doing good, maybe they're not, I don't know. But some kind of jealousy will come up, and then some regret will come over me. I'll go, God, if I could go back and do it again, and then I go, but the truth is I don't want to do that. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm living the life I want to live. That's an ego thing. And the regret is I'm beating myself up for not having accomplished something. It's meaningless. It's ego turned inward. It's narcissism. It's directed at yourself instead. So there is no purpose to regret. If you're feeling regret, it means that you are beating yourself up in order to get your mommy's love. You specifically, Jameson. If you're having regret, it means that you're beating yourself up because that's what your mom taught you to do. Your mom taught you to beat yourself up, to judge yourself for every single thought and feeling that you have. Because the other thing that regret means, which is meaningless, is that regret means that time actually means something, when it doesn't. Time is the ever-present now. So if you don't want to do something, if you did something in the past or didn't do something in the past and you have regret, you're out of reality, because the past doesn't exist. It only exists in your memory. There's only the ever-present now. You want to be something, experience something, do it now. Forget about whether or not you did or didn't do it before. If you're beating yourself up because you think you did something wrong in the past, well, that was the past. So what? Be in the moment now. Love life now. Do whatever it is you want now. I'm experiencing that. I mean, my downstairs level there's surfboards lining the wall, because I'm constantly buying and selling surfboards, because as I'm getting older and as I've gotten heavier from a lot of the weightlifting, the combination of that has changed my surfing. I can't surf tiny little surfboards anymore. I have to surf bigger surfboards. So now I'm enjoying this whole experience of finding new technologies and new surfboards where I can still surf really aggressively on larger boards. And what I was doing up until recently, I kept on doing this thing where I kept on trying to go back and surf smaller surfboards because I was trying to be, do what I did before, because my ego was attached to, high performance surfing, etc. And that was just ego regret. And what I didn't realize is that I'm actually having a lot more fun now with the newer technology, as long as I get my ego out of the way. So regret doesn't serve any function whatsoever. All right, what else? God Emperor question. Why did the Nazi regime use a swastika as their symbol? I think it's pretty obvious. The swastika is actually the Sanskrit word because the Vedics use the swastika. It's an Indo-European, other people have come up with that symbol as well, but it's an Indo-European symbol for the sun god. It's the sun, going through the sky, twirling through the sky. And the European descendants of the Indo-Europeans, the Yamnaya, the European descendants called it the Filthot. And it represented good luck, it represented power, it represented... In fact, I wish I had it, there was an American greeting card from the 1920s, so before the Nazi regime came into power. There was a greeting card that people sent, and has a picture of a swastika on it, and it even says, happy holidays, this is a symbol of good luck. It had no association with anything other than good luck. They didn't even realize it was a cultural thing. It was just, here's this symbol. They didn't realize what it was. It's an ancient Indo-European symbol for power, good luck. It actually means the destruction of negativity. So it's obvious why the Nazis used it, because it was something that was an ancient Germanic symbol, and the whole, the Aryan race, blah, 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 which actually Aryans weren't white, in case you didn't know it. The Aryans were olive-skinned people with dark eyes and big noses. They weren't white-skinned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, short, little stubby-nosed Europeans. They looked differently. So I think it's pretty obvious why they used it. They used it to represent some ethnic thing. Did they know the true meaning of the swastika? I think you know the answer to that. Of course they didn't. In fact, the swastika may have been their downfall. Because by putting the swastika on their planes, all of their military vehicles, the swastika is one of Thor's symbols, and Thor is a defender of the human race. Thor destroys narcissism and racism, exclusionism, fascism are narcissistic. In fact, all fascist leaders are usually people with narcissistic personality disorder, Trump. So this is what fascism is. And so, ironically, thinking that this symbol gave them some power, it was actually a request to Thor to destroy them. And so the swastika may have been what, energetically brought down the Nazis, may have been what destroyed them. Racists, to this day, who wear Thor's hammers, who wear swastikas or runes, they are begging the universe to teach them a lesson in equality. And either in this lifetime or the next, that person is going to get a severe lesson in what it means to be racially excluded. That's why I don't wear anything. I mean, I have a necklace that I wear, sometimes when I'm teaching. This is another powerful symbol of destruction of negativity. But I am not so full of myself that I'm going to put a tattoo on my body, because I have no idea. That tattoo represents perfection. I'm not perfect. So I'm asking for the universe to come and kick my ass. I don't chant runes very often, because when I did the whole, when you go up to thunderwizard.com, again, 90% of you watching me that don't bother going and subscribing and getting access to thousands of hours of deep video teaching that you won't get anywhere else. On that, I go through all of the runes one by one, and when I did that, I did once a week, I would talk about a rune. I would have to live the perfection of that rune, and it wasn't pleasant. The runes were very purifying. So maybe other people can get up and chant the runes, the whole, Elder Futhark every day, and it empowers them. If I do that, I'm going to be, I'm going to go through the fire. The perfection of those runes are going to take me through a very serious lesson. So I don't even bother. Unless I'm really serious, there's something that I really need to work on. Or I really need some magical help. Then I will pick a rune and I will chant it. What else? Phoenix rising from the ashen question. Write the word in all caps. I know you can do it. I believe in you. You have the power. Write the word in all caps. Why? So I don't miss your question. You say, where do you say? Okay, you're talking at me. I thought you had a question. Let's see, where were we? Got to go further up here. Question: What us the importance if albuyum, and what stage are you in with a level 20? So first, if you want me to address you, you're going to have to put the effort in to spell correctly, use punctuation, proper grammar. It's really important to do this. The internet has destroyed this ability in people, and people now, their minds are disordered. Your mind is disordered. I'm not going to respond to your disordered narcissism. You want to ask me a question? Go ahead and put the time in to write a full question so I know what the hell you're asking. I have no idea what any of that means. Question: What us the importance if albuyum, and what stage are you in with a level 23? If there's anybody in the world that can make sense out of that question, my hair's off to you. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. I feel like I'm no longer married to the beliefs I previously held about the world. I find I can no longer be nailed down to just one belief system or way of thinking. Good. Congratulations. I went through that as well. It's an uncomfortable experience, but this is part of the death experience. I've gone through it numerous times. I went through it when I was a born-again Christian. I walked away from Christianity, not because I didn't believe in it. I still believed in it. But I couldn't tolerate worshiping a God that arbitrarily threw people into hell simply for not being in the right spiritual club. I had non-Christian friends who were kind and brave and noble, whom I could depend on, who would walk in front of a bus to save my life, and they didn't believe in Jesus. And I had no shortage of Christian friends that would backstab and talk against me and were selfish and hypocritical. And the thought of them going to heaven and my actual, non-Christian friends who treated me well, them going to hell, I couldn't tolerate that. So looking back on it now, I took a lot of balls, but I basically looked God in the face, believing that God was real and that Jesus was real, and I said, I'm not worshiping you anymore. You're destructive and you're hurtful, and I can't look myself in the face and be a worshiper of you. So if that means I'm going to go to hell, then I'm going to hell, but I refuse to worship you anymore. That then started a whole process, and then years after deprogramming myself from that cult of Christianity, I then was able to realize for what it was. But even to this day, maybe once or twice a year, I will wake up having a bad dream, screaming, "In Jesus' name, Satan, I command you," and I'll wake up going, "Oh my God," that's still on a deep unconscious level, that's still there. So what you're going through, this is what my teachings, if you follow, this is what I tell people, if you follow my instructions to the letter, consistently, you will go through a transformation. Your life will get better. You will become healthier. You will become happier. You will become prosperous. I didn't say that you won't go through horrific emotional upheavals and experiences and death experiences, because you will. But being, modern people are very childish and immature and undisciplined. Our ancestors knew that this is what life was. This is why my ancestors, the Norse, when somebody was coming of age, or when somebody was becoming a man, they went out and they went and sat out, which means they went out into the wilderness and stayed out there until they had a vision or until they had some kind of experience. Maybe they had an experience with their fetch, which is their spirit guide, an animal spirit guide, or they had one of the gods appeared to them or something. And that was what laid the foundation for their purpose in their life. They had to go through a death experience. Native Americans go through that as well. That's where we get the word vision quest. Same thing, it's sitting out. Some Native American tribes would do things like, pierce their pec muscles and pull against the ropes that would pull and pull and pull on their pec muscles until they passed out from the pain. And then they would have a vision. The internet has ruined that. I mean, it's been making its way, but the internet creates such narcissism, such childish, immature narcissism, as we saw in this other person who wrote a question that was completely, totally indecipherable. It was such babbling gobbledygook that the narcissism of that person to think that I would actually know what any of those words meant in that order. Childish, immature narcissism. It's time to grow up. This is why the United States is doomed, because it's filled with childish people who, on the level of the collective unconscious of at least half of the population of the United States is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. Maybe they themselves don't have it, but as a whole, the collective unconscious is operating exactly like somebody who's deluded and does not know reality and is forcing their childish, wounded, narcissistic reality on, trying to create a new reality over real reality, which they can't tolerate, which is what narcissists are like. They can't tolerate, objective reality. So they have to create a false one, and then they try and smash that false reality onto actual reality. And the rest of us go, that person's nuts. This is what the internet is creating. So I don't judge people who come on here, because you're just a product of your environment. But I'm somebody standing up saying, it's time to pull up your big boy pants and learn to individuate, learn to grow up. That starts with, first and foremost, paying attention and putting effort. If you do those two things, as I said, you will be respecting yourself. You will be giving yourself self-confidence, and simultaneously you will be respecting others and giving them respect and giving them confidence. Let's keep going. Phoenix Rising, no, okay, I don't see that. Yeah, that person left. It's that same person who wrote that nonsensical question. Now couldn't stay. They had to leave. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm trying to say. What else? Oh no, they're back now. Anyway, I'm about to block that person altogether. Yeah, I don't know who that person is. Okay, I'm going to block this person. They can't keep their mouth shut. I'm just going to go ahead and block them. They're not respecting anything. So I'm going to hide that person from the channel. Okay, what next? Ed the Wave, question. How do you see the relationship between the Thunder Wheel and the I Ching? I haven't thought it through, so I can't answer that question. How would we go about exploring this? You would go about exploring it the way I've gone about creating the synthesis that I've made on all the different things. You just have to go and do it. Maybe you'll find a connection, maybe you won't. You know, some people have taken the rune wheel and applied it to astrology. I haven't delved into that yet, so I can't even tell you if I think it works or not. But that's how it's done. That's how I created a lot of the stuff. I just, something from one culture and another culture, and I fused them together, and if they fuse together easily, I then experimented with it, which is what the rune wheel is. So how do you do that? I don't know. Let us know what happens. Let's see. Sinleet says, I did sign up for the 90-day package, but yes, I struggle with discipline. I got a reading from Vincent, good, and discovered that Jupiter is both my Dharma and Palana Devata, which seems to help explain why. All right, so keep up the work, my friend. Look, you signed up for the 90-day package, good. You have access to my entire video library. So on the 90-day package, you don't just have the 90-day videos. You have access to all of them, the Manifestation Mastery course and the Shamanism Mastery course. I explain all of these things. You asked me a question about the elements, which were so off kilter and out of whack. It tells me, again, you haven't taken advantage of the tools that you have. So don't be lazy. If you want to ask me a question and you don't know the answer, that's fine. But, you know, take the discipline to go into the library and look for it. You know, that's what college is about. You go to college and the teacher says, okay, come back tomorrow with an essay on the 1918 Spanish flu. You don't then go, okay, can I ask you a bunch of questions? You say, no, go to the library. Go to the library and read some books on it. So you've got questions, basic questions about the elements, and you have access to all of my stuff. Get up off your ass and go research them. There's no shortage of videos, even on the free channel. There's no shortage of videos on the 5 elements. Okay? If you want to know how I got where I am, that's how I did it. I didn't have everybody spoon feed me everything. I had to go. I mean, there were things missing in what I was teaching, like big gaps. I had to go learn. I had to go experiment. My teachers didn't do qigong or meditation, and they were nuts. And I was going nuts. I needed to learn how to ground the energy. So what did I do? I went and I studied with other people. I read a bunch of books. I experimented. I went through the difficulty of learning that, you know, some other traditions, when you mix them together, actually create imbalance and are worse. I had to go through that and heal myself from that. I put the work in to create what I have. So I recommend that people do that. You know, when I've given you all this stuff, make use of it. Jameson-san, question. Based on reply, would it be helpful to apply those critical thinking steps you've listed before to each regret to learn the lessons? I don't know, maybe. Again, Jameson, I'm happy to keep answering the same question. It's the same issue. What you just said there is that you can't tolerate having a feeling. And it's okay just to have a feeling. It's okay just to feel regret. You feel regret, but you take conscious action. You know what you're supposed to do to be helpful and healing. And while you're doing that, you're going to feel crappy. This isn't going to go away anytime soon. Learn just to have your feelings. You know, stop trying to change your feelings all the time, because you're not going to be able to. God Emperor, question. Would the world have been better off without the internet? So I know what I do know about you, God Emperor, is that you do operate from duality. Things are either good or bad. And I know that's part of what you're personally working through. So my suggestion to you is to learn how to be in the middle. I didn't say the world would be better off without the internet. I'm saying that the internet helps to create narcissistic, childish, immature, selfish people. That doesn't mean that the world is better off without it. I make a living from the internet. Because I am educated and because I do know how to think critically, I'm able to sift through the bullshit on the internet. Because I think critically and I'm able to ask myself, how do I feel about that? Do I have any unconscious agendas about that? What about this person? What is their unconscious agenda? Because I'm able to do that, I'm able to figure out what, whether somebody can be trusted. And then I can go beyond that and go, okay, is this person's information solid and trustworthy? I know how to do that. I know how to do that because as I said, I'm educated and I've been working on myself for years and years and years. Most people don't know how to do that. So you have to learn how to stay in the middle and not constantly have to judge something as good or bad or right and wrong or evil or righteous. That's your thing. It's going to be a challenge for you, but that will be helpful for you. Let's see. God Emperor. No. Like if a grid down scenario happened, would the world slowly reset? I don't know. But again, you're catastrophizing, as they call it. That's how your brain works. You go to the worst possible, you're either God, Emperor, or, women are all out to destroy you. You know what I mean? You're never in the middle. And that's what I recommend. Seek to live in the middle instead of trying to go from one to the other. I don't see any other questions here. All right. So then today's been whatever today's been. The links are here for a reason. Use them. As I've said before, there's got to be 1,500 videos on the free channel. Thousands, hundreds, if not thousands of hours of free teaching. Learn how to search within a YouTube channel. If you don't know how to do that, figure that out. You can go onto any YouTube channel and type in any keyword and you'll see what videos pop up in that person's channel. Learn how to do that online. Learn how to go through the playlists. Spend the time to learn what it is that I have. If you want to fast track it because there's too much information, that's what thunderwizard.com is about. Go to thunderwizard.com. If you don't know where to start, then sign up at the base level, $25 a month, and you can get Mastery of Shamanism. I recommend signing up at the Warrior 90-day level. But whatever level you sign up at, you'll have access to me taking you from A to Z, teaching you the basics of whatever it is. And again, even at, I do not understand anybody who says, I would love to sign up for your Mastery of Shamanism, I just don't have the money. And I'm like, seriously, you don't have $25 a month. You don't. So it's hard for me to have compassion for people who complain about money when, and then you can, when you sign up 1 month, you can unsubscribe the next month. But if you really want to get the most out of my channel, that's what's there for. That's what this is. And of course, it keeps my bills paid, and it keeps me happy, and it keeps me on the air, and it keeps me making videos. Angel Me has an honest feeling. So pay attention and put effort. What have I said? Put that in all caps. Otherwise, I might not see it. Put honest feeling in all caps. The whole point of that is so I can see it. You want me to say it out loud. You want me to recognize it and say it. Have the self-respect, put the effort in so that you can get my attention based on what I keep telling you I want you to do. Because if you don't do that, I don't see it. People complain, you didn't answer my question. It's because I didn't see it. So you have to make sure that I see it. It's not just me being a pain in the ass, I'm trying to help you. Honest feelings, asking myself if I'm missing my narcissist codependency past. That's not a feeling. And then I'm here all confused about what sometimes I perceive as a split personality, so you haven't given me a feeling other than you're narrating what's going on. So an honest feeling is confusion is one, fear, anger. When you say this, it angers me. When you say that, it makes me frightened. I did the 90-day challenge. I felt a lot of anger. I'm feeling sad. Those are feelings. You're describing what's going on in your head. I appreciate that, your desire to look at it. But it makes me want to ask you a bunch of questions like, are you in some kind of 12-step group? Are you in therapy? It sounds like you need it. Are you coming from my other channel? If so, then you know the 4 things you have to do. Are you doing those 4 things if you're from the other channel? But I don't have enough information there to be helpful to you other than I appreciate the fact that you're trying to share your feeling there. What else? Soul Blade question, how the gods view COVID. So you followed my direction. You wrote the word question in all caps. And then you didn't bother to actually write a full question. It's not a full question. And how the hell do I know? How am I supposed to know how the gods view COVID? There's so much in there. I mean, it makes me want to, what's going on with that question? So I don't know what the hell I don't know what to do with that. But, without beating you up, I can't speak for the gods. I can talk about myself, but you have to be specific. What do I think COVID is? Do I think it's real? What do I think it represents? I might as well just go ahead and tell you that. COVID is real. COVID is a real thing. It's as real as the common cold or the flu. It's its own thing. It's exactly what you're being told by the mainstream media, which means actual news stations that give you actual reality. COVID is a disease. Where it came from, I don't know. Is it a biological weapon? I don't know. But it is a real thing, and it exists. And everything you've heard about I don't know, however many millions of people that have died from it, those are real. That really does happen. COVID is a manifestation, because the way that the world works is that we manifest in reality. We manifest real things which represent our collective unconscious experience. So everything that I said about the internet it doesn't create connection, ironically. It creates isolation. And people become self-sufficient in and of themselves, and they become narcissistic in their views, which is why people believe whatever the hell they want to believe. People come on here and they want to argue with me about all kinds of things. To take one of the less hot topics, people want to argue with me about whether the earth is round or not. And we get into discussions about objective reality. And they will give their pseudoscience, and they'll say, I've done the research. Research means that you're seeking objective truth, and you are going to sift through the evidence and the data to find the objective truth. Research means that you don't have an agenda. You don't care what the outcome is. You just want to know what the truth is. And so when you get information, your first goal is to debunk that information. Is this inaccurate, false information? That's the first thing you want to do. And what people are doing is they are finding and nitpicking, cherry picking the information that cosigns their emotional agenda. They want to believe that people are out to take away, to somehow, for some reason nobody can really explain, they're trying to lie to you about, the world being round. And so because they feel they have a personal experience and a narcissistic feeling that everybody is out to lie to them, then they're going to only take that information that tells them that. And so when it comes to COVID. I got lost in what I was thinking. When it comes to COVID represents, what is COVID? What was the end result of COVID? People can't breathe. Not being able to breathe is like that. The feeling that I can't breathe, I can't get nourishment. You're isolated. I mean, in order just to heal from that, they got to put you in, the ventilators. You got to be by yourself, and they shove things down your throat, try to get your lungs to breathe. Right? It's this feeling. You're isolated. If you're getting, you're really sick like that. The way to get rid of originally the way to get rid of the disease was for everybody to go into isolation. And so what you ended up having, and what is it? People don't want to do that. You have to wear a mask, which people can't see I remember the few times I've had to wear a mask, which here I've only had to wear a mask once for 2 weeks. But when I went out in public and I went to talk to somebody, I would smile, and I realized nobody can see me smile. I can't see them smile. I had to listen to their voice to be able to tell, if they were being conciliatory or nice. I had to listen to their voice. So you're isolated. You can't even tell what other people are thinking. Everybody's walking around with a mask on, and you can't tell what they're thinking and feeling. And you can't express yourself. You can't show with your face, hi, how are you? You can't do that. We do it all the time. We walk by, we smile, we nod. We're constantly communicating, and we stay connected. Then, of course, there's the staying it by yourself at home, which is isolation. So COVID is a manifestation of a chronic isolation that people have been experiencing, since Christianity, basically. But the internet even exacerbated this, where people can be the masters of everything, and they can research things, and they don't differentiate between the false and the true, or what's partially true and partially false. And so that creates more isolation. It creates more loneliness, which creates more and more aggressive narcissism. And so then the internet starts blowing up, and then you have QAnon. QAnon's a perfect example. Perfect example. What is QAnon? Nobody knows who the hell Q is. Well, I think I saw somebody reveal themselves. It was just some online guy. I think I know who Q is. He's just some online hacker guy. But people won't believe. They won't believe the news that is actually giving you, facts and figures, talking to scientists, talking to people, virologists, giving you facts like, yes, in this city, there are X amount of people are dying from COVID. They won't listen to that, facts that you can verify. But they'll listen to some unknown guy that they can't verify, who comes on and doesn't even tell you what's what. He has to show it to you in like a video game format, where he gives you clues that you have to figure out through Twitter. People will believe that guy, but they won't believe the actual verifiable facts and figures. It's just such a, people are manifesting their narcissism in the real world now, and COVID is a manifestation of that. It forced people to go into isolation, to wear masks. And what is it people want to do? They want to challenge the thing that will actually keep people safe. I know, because I lived through it. I got here to Australia before COVID hit. So I watched. And if you remember, if you go back when the lockdown was happening, I was giving the United States a hard time, because I said, you guys can't half-ass it. You have to pick one. You either have to go, everybody go out and infect each other, or you have to go complete no lockdown. If you do half and half, it's going to end up going on forever. And I was 100% right. It's still happening now. Now you have variants. Now you have different variants of COVID that the vaccine won't necessarily take out as well. That's a direct result of people not going into full lockdown. If people went into full lockdown, there wouldn't be COVID. Here in Australia, we're COVID free, except for when people come in from out of the country. When people come in from out of the country, then it introduces COVID. But, you know, I'm here, you know, they've locked down our state, and there hasn't been any COVID here. I haven't had to follow any, you know, guidelines because there isn't any. There's no way for the virus to get in. And when somebody comes into Australia, they're automatically put into quarantine for 2 weeks. This stuff actually prevents COVID from happening. But because people, they manifested the need to isolate, because that's what was happening, they felt isolated. People feel alone, unheard, unloved, unseen. That manifested as COVID, a real thing which forced you to physically experience what you internally experience, but because you are in denial of your own isolation, you do things like fight having to wear masks, or like one person said on my channel, wearing a mask is being raped. And it means that that person feels so stifled. You know, just putting a mask on makes them feel what they always feel, which is they can't speak, they can't breathe, nobody can see them. So this is what COVID is. The whole world has been, on an unconscious level, been seething with this feeling of isolation and loneliness, and being filled with rage over not being seen, loved, and heard. The internet increases that. MGTOW, perfect example, MGTOW. What else? Well, I don't see anything else. All right, so I don't see any more questions or comments. So that's it. Anyway, you know what to do. Click the links. We're going to be giving out the fire element soon. So remember, every time that I upload a new element, the price goes up. So if you want to be part of this, which is any of you can, the elite Maoshan, which is the elite practice of the Warrior 90 Day. I recommend that you do it now before the price goes up even higher. Once I get all 5 elements, right, price is going to be at that level. All right, I don't have anything else to say. Take care of yourself, be good to yourself, and I will see you when I see you. Is that all? That's all. All right, what do I want to do here? Where's my end screen? All right, I'll see you guys next time.